Okay, so welcome to Satsang. So, a few words about the source of words. That our true nature is the silence and the stillness of being.
Do you need help?
Just trying to set up this screen here so that if there are any questions on YouTube, I can answer them. Okay. So all activities unfolds out of the stillness, in the stillness that is our true nature. Our true nature is not a concept. It's not a thought. It's not it is the reality, the non-phenomenal reality that in this very moment hears these words, that is the isness of being, the isness of awareness. The isness of awareness cannot be comprehended by the mind, cannot be comprehended via thinking, cannot be comprehended via conceptualization, cannot be experienced as an experience, like as a phenomenal experience. Whatever it is that I refers to is this reality. Everything that appears to you refers to that reality, refers to the isness of being. Our true nature, we could say, is this inner silence, this causeless, eternal, causeless silence. And knowing yourself as that is happiness. Knowing yourself as the reality of being is happiness. Because in knowing yourself, it is the end of seeking. There is a resting in the knowing. And in this resting, all pursuits and avoidance come to an end. When you perceive yourself as a person, as some activity in time and space, you are in the tourbillon, how do you say tourbillon? In the whirlpool of the mind. But the whirlpool of the mind is an impression that is arising to you as the me impression, as the I thought and the me feeling. It does not define you. You are not that. You are not what we refer to as the mind. You are not anything that appears in time and space. The Dharma is very simple when the mind is still, and very complicated when the mind is active. What is it that is seeking? That is hoping and wishing. What is it? What do you find when you look at this question? Thought only takes you on a journey, an imaginary journey. But does not reveal where do you go. Is there anything apart from the self, from presence, from I? Is there anything apart? When you look at your experience directly, where do you go? What's lacking in your experience, irrespective of what thought may say. Isn't there beyond thought the peace, the wholeness, nothing lacking, nothing needed, just the wholeness of being, the wellness of being, the purity of being, the freshness, the not knowing, this magnificent, magical unfolding in this moment of I don't know what, but yet it's all there, fully revealed, fully revealed. Such a beauty and wonder of this mystery, the mystery of being, the magnificence. Delighting in being. So delightful, such a delight. You know, in thought, the me is there, playing the game of separation. I need this, I am that, and I was this, and I will become that. What is happening to me? What happened to me? What will happen to me? All these sound bites and the feeling bites. Sound and feeling bites. Echoes empty. They keep you on edge, you know, something needs to happen or hasn't happened or should happen or is happening that shouldn't happen. What noise? What noise? Right? And what for? Nothing, just a spin. A body-mind spin. Spin, spin. Peace tomorrow. Happiness tomorrow. I will do this and that, and then Buddha boom, Buddha boom. Protecting what? An image. Projecting an image. You know, in I think there is this. I don't know the name of it. This performance where they wear different masks. You wear this mask, you're somebody, you wear a different mask, and on stage it's a play of masks, different personas. It's fun because it's a play. But when these masks become real, meaning when we forget that it's a mask, then we are this character. Why hold on to being a character? What for? What's in it? When you call the light of a candle to the sunlight, why hold a candlelight when you are the sunlight? So if you have any questions, anything you want to explore, feel free to speak your question or write it in the chat box. And if you are watching on YouTube live, you can also in the chat box write your question, and actually monitoring the YouTube channel as well, and I will be able to respond to that. And Emmanuel is visiting us here from Costa Rica. Hola, Emmanuel. And so, watch out, because he's a referee. He's a tough dude here, you know. He's going to be sifting the questions. Just kidding, he's not as bad as he seems. So, any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Esther. Hello.
Hi, Manuel.
Says hello to you. Oh, oops. You know what? I think you're not hearing.
No,
Oh.
I will bring my headphones.
How can you? No, I'm going to remove this, and so you can still hear me, Esther?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Hello, Esther.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes, Esther. Hello.
It just seems like in my readings, would you speak to non-dual understanding about God? It just seems like in all my readings, it is God is interchanged with the self. And in some places, it's God is pointed out as a concept. So would you clarify that for me? The whole non-dual teaching about God.
Yes. So, non-duality refers to one reality. And that there is the reality of consciousness, which is undeniable, meaning the reality of knowingness, or the reality of awareness, also the reality of being awareness. But these terms, being awareness, refer to the absolute, almost say qualities of the self, but it's aspects of the self, or how the self experiences itself, or how the self knows itself, or how the self is itself. It is itself as being, as amness. And this amness, which also we refer to as presence or beingness, is universal and impersonal. So it's an amness that's absolute, and that has no pieces or bits to it. There are no territories to it, my amness and your amness. There are no camps in it, no the yellow camp and the blue camp. So this amness referred to absolute amness, which in some terms referred to as the amness Brahman amness, or universal amness, or divine amness, or God's amness. But it's a reference to the experience of an amness that is completely impersonal and that has no opposite to it. Absolute. So it's an amness that knows its own amness. So God knows herself, knows itself as being, as universal being, universal presence. I am, the I am. So there is within the I am the knowingness of the I am. I am and I know I am. So it's a knowing I am. So it's a beingness, presence that is also knowing. And this knowingness, beingness, has no opposite. It's absolute. And it is what is referred to as God. But the experience of God, the experience of the divine experience, is the experience of myself as this amness beingness, that is, that as this universal amness beingness that has no center and that has an infinite radius. So it's the infinity and the non-locality, meaning the eternity, eternity and infinity. The infinity is the non-locality, and the eternity is the timelessness, the beyond thought, or thought is in time. So the infinity and eternity of that amness beingness, of what we refer to as God. So God is infinite and eternal, meaning God is not in time and space, but God is not as a concept. The concept of God has been the true experience has been downgraded to a concept. And when you are thinking the absolute conceptually, you are a subject contemplating a conceptual object. And that is not what non-duality is about. Non-duality is not about concepts, it's about reality. So in the contemplation, in a non-dual contemplation, we are contemplating using our higher reasoning and using the silent presence of the self to come to the direct experience of the non-duality of truth, of reality. So a concept is connected with thought and images. And thoughts and images are constantly shifting. So the concept of God is constantly shifting. And whatever is constantly shifting is not what we refer to as reality. So God as reality is not something that shifts. It's not something that changes. So if you have an image of God, and I have an image of God, there are two different images. That's not what we are talking about, because images are constantly shifting and they're different. They vary in color and shape. And reality that shifts in color and shape is not reality, it's mind. So when we are referring to reality, we're referring to the non-shifting, that is eternal. And if we use the term God, then we're referring to the eternal that is God, the eternal God. And they're synonyms. Eternity and godliness are synonym. It's not that there is something called a God that is eternal. There are synonyms. So when we are talking about that does not change, that does not depend on the mind, that is not a concept or an image in your mind or my mind, we are talking about reality. And when we're talking about reality, we're talking about right now, but the reality of this very experience right now. And in contemplating the reality of this experience right now, we're contemplating God in truth, in reality, not the concept of God. So in non-duality, when we contemplate God, we're contemplating reality in this very moment, and that brings us to consciousness, awareness, beingness, being presence. That is undeniable, irrespective of whatever image is appearing, irrespective of whatever thought is appearing to you. Consciousness is not something that is being altered by the images that are appearing. And when you contemplate consciousness, from the dual perspective, there is my consciousness and your consciousness. That's from the dual point of view, that consciousness depends on the body-mind. But consciousness depending on the body-mind is a belief. Because in your experience right now, when you contemplate consciousness, you will find that the body-mind is appearing within consciousness as perceptions and sensations. And that irrespective of what is the quality of the sensation, of the bodily sensation that is arising, consciousness is the same. Which goes contrary to the belief that consciousness depends on the sensation, depends on the body. In fact, it is the other way around, because you could remove the body, consciousness remains. And what would be the body without consciousness? What would be a bodily sensation without awareness? It wouldn't be. So in fact, it is the other way around. The body-mind, bodily sensations and perceptions and mentations depend on consciousness. Consciousness does not depend on the body. So therefore, to speak of my consciousness, meaning this body-mind consciousness and that body-mind consciousness, is erroneous. That's from the dual perspective. But when we contemplate duality, we realize how false, the falsehood of it. And then we have to bring that understanding home. It's not sufficient to get to this understanding. You have to live this understanding so that this understanding roots itself in your being, grows its roots in your being, so that this understanding lives itself within you and confirms itself in your life. You get the confirmation of the reality, the non-dual reality of consciousness as you are living it. As you are living the Dharma, you're living as the self. And you live as the self by being watchful not to be going downstream with the thoughts and the emotions, but bringing the thoughts and the emotions to their source. What is it that perceives? Am I some phenomenal factor within the realm of thoughts and feelings? Or are thoughts and feelings some phenomenal factor within myself? Like my night dreams. I dream infinite dreams, but I remain as I remain as that. I do not come and go subject to my night dreams. I remain as I, the dreamer of all dreams. And in your waking state, contemplate that remains as I, not that moves with the movement, but that remains unmoved as I. So that you do not go downstream with every current, with every stream. So in Advaita, in non-duality, God, Brahman, the absolute reality, consciousness, awareness, beingness, presence, love, compassion, truth, freedom, beauty are one. Not one is above the others, they're all as one. There isn't a higher God and a lower God. That is mind. You could say that God is truth, God is reality, reality is God, reality is truth, truth is God, but they're synonymous. There isn't an actual being called God. All is. And there is no one outside of this reality to speak of it. So this conversation right now is not a conversation that is taking place outside of reality. It is, you could say, God taking on this form. And in this particular conversation, God is taking on the form of whatever you refer to it, the body mind, you could say, that is speaking and contemplating God. Or you could say consciousness is taking on the form of this body mind that is contemplating consciousness. Or you could say love is taking on this form, contemplating and speaking about love. Or you could say truth is taking on the form. This form, whichever way you call it, body mind form. To speak within itself about truth. There is no external reality outside of the self. And therefore, there is no internal reality, because the internal and the external come hand in hand. There is just reality. And what speaks that? Reality itself speaks that. This reality knows itself and speaks itself.
Thanks, Maggie. Crystal clear.
Okay, Esther. Any questions? Hello, Richard. You write, if thoughts arise, how to tell if they're fabricated by the me impression? You will experience the unhappiness, Richard. Thoughts about it's going to happen to me. Why did I do that? Am I going to be okay tomorrow? How will I do? How will I be? Are they going to love me? Am I acting, behaving properly at the image level? There, you will experience the unhappiness of the thought, because in most thoughts, if not all thoughts, there is the hidden me, and that does not apply to practical thoughts. For example, when you are looking at which airline to make a reservation, to go to San Francisco, you're looking at this functional thought, practical thought. That's not what I'm talking about. But the rest of our thoughts, most of them, they're infected by the me. And the me right there is unhappiness, because within this me, this I thought, there is the me feeling that I'm somebody in time and space. It's what's going to happen to me tomorrow, and it's there, it's there, like, oh, it will be okay. So the thoughts that are arising, even though they may not seem to be about me, there is the me in there, and you have to pay attention to notice this malaise, this sense of angst there that's in the background, that's hoping and it's trying to find a way to safeguard itself, to get there, to be safe as what? To be safe as what? As what? Because in this moment, which is the eternity of presence, of being, what's safety? I mean, the safety of the body, we do our best with that, but more or less, we know that sooner or later, you can't guarantee that. That's not absolute, the body's gonna go. But when we are preoccupied in thought about ourselves, we're preoccupied about some ideas about me. There's an image of me. And also you can tell that the thoughts arise out of the personal self, because they don't bring you towards happiness. Not only they're themselves unhappy, but whatever actions, because thoughts precede actions, that the actions that follow our thinking, they don't deliver the goods. You're happy for a little moment and then goes down the rapids very quickly after that. So there is a contemplation that's important in your life, which is the contemplation of the personal self within thoughts and within the body. Sort of become aware of that, and not to go along further and further down this line of thinking by blaming yourself or by entertaining yourself with the I thoughts about myself, thoughts about others, because this sort of entertainment seems to be inoffensive. How do you say? Seems to be offensive. It seems to be banal, but it's not. There is a toxicity within it. The separate self is there playing the game. Yes, I understand the social conversation, but within myself, but him and her. But it's not as trivial as it seems. To be really alert to the subtlest way in which this personal image arises within your thoughts. To be alert, vigilant, so you don't be taken downstream, down the stream of the me thought, the I thoughts, and the me feelings. Then you'll be feeling, you wonder why, wonder why. Because it's there. The personal self is there within your thinking, but it's unnoticed, but it's there. You have to be still and quiet and notice it. Notice it and don't get on that boat. Don't go for that ride. This life is not about me. It's about awakening from the me impression. If you make it about myself, you remain as your separate self. Because what you're truly seeking is the end of ignorance. The end of the roller coaster ride. You're not seeking a happier roller coaster ride, because a roller coaster ride is a roller coaster ride. Maybe happy now and miserable around the next bend of the road. It's coming.
Hi, Magdi. It's Holly.
Hello, Holly.
Hi. So, I wrote you in the past about smoking pot, and it's really clear to me now that stepping away from that is important. But as I step away from it, it feels for the holly that almost like a little pin is being removed that was doing so many things for the holly, and I can see that the pain is very much about my belief still, my remaining belief of being the person. But why I want to bring this to you is because in the past, this sort of pain has, you know, eventually it just leads to me going back to the habit to experience that relief. And but I want to bring it to you because I want the pain to, I would rather it help. I would rather it allow me to release more of this sense of attachment.
You know, Holly, the unhappiness that we experience being Magdi, being Holly, being this separate self, being this person, is an important part of the mix. It has its function, it has its place in our journey, in our contemplation. It's important to, at some point, to recognize that everything that unfolds in our journey has its place and its role and its function. But things do change. In that we may start by not even realizing the unhappiness of being a separate self. But something is still lacking. We don't know what. And then we may start to experience the unhappiness of being a separate self. Maybe in bits and pieces here and there, it starts to disturb our so-called cover-up peace, make-believe peace. And then our intolerance to being a personal self and feeling this sense of separation may become so loud that nothing can cover it up, really. Nothing can cover it up. And it may seem to be a bad thing. Oh my God, you know, the strategies are no longer working. I'm aware that they work for a short period of time, but they really don't do the job. And it may seem that we're getting deeper in the bottom of the pit. But it's also possible, and that's also happening, that we're realizing that there is no mind trick around unhappiness. Whichever way, whichever devilish and intricate way that the mind plays around the unhappiness, doesn't do it. And at some point, we just stop playing this perverse game, and we just we remain still. And at that moment of choosing the stillness, or realizing that, yes, the strategies are not the way. They don't work. They're not the way. The moment we realize that, there's a change. Something has shifted in the field.
Yeah.
And the mind may not even realize what's shifting or what's happening, but something is shifting. Somehow, the stillness of being is revealing itself, because now we're at the edge of, we cannot take a step forward anymore or a step backward. It doesn't work to step this way or that way, to the right or to the left. It's just there isn't. And we find ourselves beyond the mind. It's a pivotal moment of diving deeper and deeper into the unknown, into that is beyond the mind, that cannot be known by the mind. That is the magnificence of being. Vastness of being, that is untouched and unmoved by whatever is happening to at the body-mind level, what we call Holly or Magdi or whatever we call it, whatever the mind calls it. Who cares? The dream character Holly is maintained via the strategies of the mind. That's what the separate self is all these various thoughts and strategies and methods and trickeries and habits. There's no separate self. It's just this movement of moving towards or away from something. What? Moving away or towards what? Is what? Away from what? Can we move away or towards anything?
No.
No. It's all trickery of the mind. Yeah, moving towards something, moving away from something. But it's illusion, isn't it? So we are that is completely free from moving, so-called moving towards and away from. Thought that arises says, oh well, that's lacking. You'd be better off if ... So we're still we're in the midst of whatever is arising. There is the stillness. Slowly, we start to trust it, and we start to realize there is a home here. The home is the stillness. It's not the stillness of a body mind. It's the stillness that's beyond any mind. The peace. There are no words for being awareness. There are no words. So I'm glad to hear what you just shared with me. It's really beautiful. It's an opening.
Yeah.
The mind may arise because the mind wants to be part of everything and say, oh no, it's about me, it's about me.
Right.
They arise as thoughts and feelings. But it cannot win the battle with the eternity of being. No matter what, whichever way it dances, whichever way it jumps up and down, whichever way it tries to pull at you,
Yeah.
it's completely moot and empty. We are that, I am that, I am that. There is the saying, I am that I seek. And in the realization that I am that I seek, the seeking ends, because I am that. How could I seek what I am? Trust the I am. Before the name Holly, before the thought, before the feeling, before the sensation, do not be so concerned about the names and the forms. They're endless, endless names and forms and feelings.
Yeah.
It's absolute, it's a marvelous mystery. This mystery of being, it's marvelous. That's so marvelous. Be in awe in this very moment, this moment of extreme awe. The majesty of consciousness, awareness. No crutches are needed. Nothing is needed. Remain as you are. Remain as you are. Before any arising, keep returning to that I am before any arising.
Yeah.
It's there. It is absolutely there before any arising. The I that is before the arising, not the body mind arising. The I that is, self that is, that requires nothing, needs nothing, is seeking nothing. It is complete transparency, non-phenomenal. Reality is non-phenomenal. I am. The I am, non-phenomenal reality of being. That's the path, that's the journey, that's the destination, that's the heart.
Thank you.
Okay, Holly. Any questions?
Magdi?
Yes, Zoe, hello.
Hi. Well, I'm inspired by Holly. I was contemplating, I don't know, this thought came to me a couple of weeks ago that, you know, my dad passed a couple of years ago, but it was all of a sudden, it was like I saw him as this arising and passing, and you know, the more I contemplate, it just seems like everything is so backwards from what I originally imagined. And it's like this thought that I created my father, my parents, everything, not the other way around.
Depends what you mean by I, yes?
Yeah, not the little I, but the, well, maybe the little I don't know, Magdi. The I that, I don't know, when you were talking today about with Esther, that like the, this is God speaking to God or something like that, taking this form. So there's no, it's not separate, but it, I don't know. I would like to hear what your thoughts are about that.
Well, when you say I created my father, it depends what you mean by I. And if it's a real creation, then the creator must also be real, because if the creator is not real, then the creation is not real. So if in fact I created my father, then the I that created my father must be real, so that my father will, which is the creation of I, is also created out of reality. So this creator must be real. So when you're saying I created my father, so we're assuming that you're referring in that statement to the only real creator, which is whatever the real I, which we refer to as truth, reality, the self, consciousness, Brahman, God, beingness, whatever. One reality. So when you think I created my father, which meaning the universal I created my father, not. So the I goes by all names: Zoe, Magdi, Emmanuel, Esther, Shiva, Richard, etc. So goes by all names, but is also goes by no name. So it is known as everything, everything and everybody, but it's also nothing and nobody. So that I, which we refer to as consciousness or presence, is the reality that right now perceives this perception. So the I that creates is this I right now, the eternity of the I that is absolute. Now, what is my father? How do I experience my father? I experience my father, I meaning there's only one I. Right? By consciousness, I experience my father by being Zoe, having a father. That's one way of experiencing my father. The father has to be somebody's father, and consciousness has no father. Reality has no father. So I experience my father by being Zoe, and then I'm experiencing my father. So the I that has no father goes through the prism of Zoe, the prism of thought, that I am born and I am Zoe. It diffracts. Now it becomes Zoe, and Zoe has a father. But consciousness doesn't experience a father. For example, right now, I'm experiencing this as Magdi, for example. I'm perceiving my friends in satsang. Yes? But,
Yes.
But as consciousness, I'm not perceiving my friends in satsang. As consciousness, it's just being, peace, being, presence, not knowingness, transparency, love, oneness, wholeness, beauty, celebration, joy. There isn't in me and you. So for me to experience my father or to experience Zoe as a friend that lives over there and I'm living here, I have to diffract from consciousness, goes through the prism of being born, being a body mind. Then I'm experiencing my father, my friend, my son, my mother. So in fact, consciousness has no children, no fathers, no mothers, no brothers, no friends, no enemies, no parties, no. So coming back to your statement that I created my father, well, you could say that I created Zoe and her father. You could say that. But in fact, consciousness creates Zoe and her father in this very moment. I am Magdi and then you are my friend. And it's an instantaneous creation and dissolution. It creates and dissolves. So the thought of I am me and you are my father or my sister or my brother or my mother. In this instantaneous moment, which is a diffraction, and dissolves in this moment. It dissolves in the moment. And the next moment, there is that same arising or a similar arising.
I can see on maps that like 3 minutes ago. She just passed. And she's on.
So, so my father, which exists in time, is in fact does not exist in time. It is an instantaneous arising, moment by moment.
Oh.
And the impression that I am Zoe with a father and I'm experiencing my father is the impression that arises as a thought and as a sensation.
Mm.
And the thought and the sensation, they arise and dissolve in this presence, which we refer to as consciousness. So it's an impression, like in your night dream, you're living for 20 years, you're on a 20-year journey and you visit so many countries. But in fact, when you wake up, you realize that no, you didn't travel anywhere. There was no time. There was no journey. You did not actually spend 10 years in Panama. You didn't. So I created my father is true in your dream. So in your dream, you are Zoe and you're dreaming your father. And now in this very dream, you are dreaming that you created your father, which is a thought arising in this moment. And maybe a feeling, I don't know. So in fact, from consciousness point of view, there is no creation. We speak of creation this is a relative conversation. We say there is creation. But in fact, there is no creation. But we say there is creation to refer to the reality that is beyond what we perceive and believe to be created. So we speak of creation to refer to the creator, and then to refer to the oneness of the created with the creator. But in fact, there is no creator and there is no creation. But it's an important conversation because we believe that there is a creation and there is a creator. So we refer to that, we speak to that in relative language to come and speak to the oneness of the creator and the creation. And oneness means there is no creation. So in your night dream, for example, you may dream that you created a very beautiful chocolate mousse, or you created a very beautiful quiche Lorraine, and you won the best prize with it, or you invited your friend and you had a wonderful party. Oh, this is creation, you see. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You may even have tasted it and adjusted the recipe, blah, blah. Well, that is creation, but in fact, there was no creation. Now, this does not mean that we should go into nihilism now, that there is nothing. There is nothing created, and there's nothing, I am nothing. Neither is that the understanding. So the understanding that there is no creator and no creation, and the understanding that there is nothing, is all nihilism, are not the same understanding. There is the reality of consciousness, and the reality of consciousness knows itself. I know I am, and I know The I refers to the transparency of being, meaning the universal self. It's a living experience, a living knowingness. It's a being knowingness, being knowing. That has no mind. It's a being knowing that is not of the mind. So it's being knowing that knows being knowing. That knows being knowingness, that knows it is being knowingness, that knows its being knowingness timelessly in the eternity of being knowingness. So it's being knowingness that knows its being knowingness in its own eternity. So, in your question, Zoe, be attentive to what you refer by I.
Mm.
There is an I download. The Zoe is a download, and then the Zoe's dad is a download further, another download from the download. It's the first download is the daughter, and the second download is the grandson.
Yeah. When you said that there's no creator and there's no creation, the way you explained it, that was the sense of it when I had that thought. It was like it's not a part. He's not a part. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. There is no separation. Duality is belief. It's the new corrupt church. The reality of what we call my father is not the father experience in time and space. The reality of your father is your reality, which is the reality of consciousness. It's not the reality of the images and the memories, blah, blah. So it's all experiences, all perceptions and sensations, mentations, they refer to that is not a thought, a perception or a mentation. They refer to that the reality that perceives, the reality that is, the isness, the absolute isness, the transparency of being. Transparency of aware presence, the reality and transparency of aware presence. Yes, sorry, yes?
Yes. Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for your lovely question. Okay, well, everyone, thank you very much for your lovely company and love that you are. Namaste, all of you. Very, very lovely to be with you, Maria. Yes, and Esther, Holly, Rich.
Thanks, Magdi.
Goodbye. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Magdi.
And Anna Christina. Okay, very beautiful. See you soon.